this together.
Yep.
I will do my very best to make sure we are good to go. I will say, we can, seeing that we have Zoom, there is a way to let it take some notes, the AI companion, if we want to let it do minutes
Just
first.
record.
Yeah.
Just record it.
It already is, Margot. It warned me.
Okay,
So, yeah.
so we can let minutes.
But we do that with the harbor committee, and apparently, I've never been responsible for the minutes, but
They still need to be finessed, but
yes,
it's a good way.
but it gets the worst of it. It's not something I could do at the same time as pay attention.
So let's take a look at, does anybody have any comments about the minutes let's first introduce, we have a new member on the Rockport Pathways, and let's do a quick intro just so people know who each other is.
My name's Ken Von Felton. I live in Rockport. Recently joined the Pathways Committee. So trying to learn and understand what's going on
And has
where I
been
can help.
gung ho since the start, so it's been great. Let's do a quick, yeah.
Michael Thompson, Select Board, Rockport.
liaison.
Yes.
Jane Self, I'm an alternate from Camden, and sometimes I come to meetings.
Margot Murphy, Rockport.
Richard Stetson, Camden.
Gary Fowley from Camden.
And I'm Tom Zumwalt from Camden.
And we have Linda Clancy from Rockport. So the people we are missing, just for the record, we're missing Lenny Gronross from Rockport, Kristen Johns.
Is he really on the committee?
He is.
Okay, because, okay.
Kristen Johns from Rockport, Jeff Scott from Camden, Andrew Stampchoff from Camden, and is Anita Scott officially?
Yes, she is.
Just 5 minutes, he'll be here.
Okay, and Anita Scott from Camden. Am I missing anybody?
Aaron Englander? Is there a new?
Oh, Aaron Englander from Rockport.
Oh, and Leslie. What's her last
The new,
name?
I don't know, from Camden, the new one.
Oh, right.
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Lindsay,
Yeah.
what's Lindsay's last
Lindsay
name?
Levine, something like that.
Okay.
I think it is Levine.
That will be helpful for our minutes. So, anybody have anything they want to edit, add, delete from the minutes?
I would just
Oh,
like
that's
to
good.
say that I was really impressed with these minutes. Went through them, I hit a number of things that, oh yeah, we discussed that. I forgot.
I always appreciate bullets. Are there, is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Yes.
I'll second.
Any second? If there are no comments, all in favor? Okay, minutes are accepted. Linda, you good on this? Okay. Okay, so, select crosswalk painting in the fall. Is that something we can speak to now, or should we wait for Jeff on that one?
We should wait for Jeff because I saw that and I said, wait a minute, why did we look at all the crosswalks today?
I
Because,
think it's because Allison had discussed it with Dave St. Laurent and so then she mentioned it to Jeff and Jeff mentioned it to us.
okay.
But that's all right. We're done now.
Yeah,
Or
we've done that because the fact is that you should go back and do this again at late September. Because that's,
They almost need to be done twice a year.
well,
Yeah. I know.
Today, on the news, one of the top news stories in the state of Maine was the city of Portland and talking about crosswalk safety. and they showed examples of one done, one not done. That is the simplest, cheapest way to have public safety, to see it. I just drove down from North on High Street through town, and I almost hit a lady because she just walked right out. But I'm watching, and I forgot there's a sidewalk there. They're really pretty horrible. And the earlier we do it, I think, the better. If we can do it,
Hi, Jeffy.
hey, Jeff. But if we can do it earlier in the season too, because Portland's doing theirs
Bad
now.
habits for your
So I
wife.
think that's a big thing, a safety thing, a simple, cheaper safety thing that if it saves one pedestrian accident, it would be good.
Yeah, and as we went around this morning, Richard and I,
Yeah,
it really came down to like 2/3 of them were really
Yeah.
bad.
yeah,
So, it's-
Well, I noticed where they've dug up in Rockland, right in front of the Strand, which is typically a crosswalk, is now like a pile of dirt. People don't stop at all. It's
yeah.
like, even though that's a typical crosswalk.
But even during the crosswalks, and don't worry about the striping for the car parking, but the crosswalks themselves. A lot of the signs in Camden, they do have the nice yellow signs, but your focus when you're driving is down. You're not going through downtown Camden, looking around, or Rockport or any town. Your focus is at the pedestrian level in the road and making sure there's no one there. So those do help. I mean, we've had customers come in complaining about it. I mean, and from our store. And I'm gonna say, I've talked to the people and hopefully we can do it because they realize it's such a big safety issue and it's simple. We gotta pay to have it done anyway. And again, example, Portland's doing it. And Camden should be doing it fairly soon.
Yep.
And
So Jeff, we
Thank you.
accepted the minutes. We're
You're
on
not
the
gonna blow
crosswalk painting in the fall. Does that mean they're not going to get painted before the season begins?
No, that's not what that means. I just wanted to relate to Rockport and I.
Let me
don't know
introduce
you.
Ken,
Ken Von Felton, I'm one of the new members from Rockport.
One of many,
one of the new.
the new. Welcome, cool. No, I wanted to share that Public Works in Camden is open to the idea of maybe painting key crosswalks that suffer the most wear over the winter, painting them in the fall to sort of reinforce them before the winter comes. So we are actually, these two guys are doing an inventory of the condition of the crosswalks so that we can give them to Public Works and come up with a recommendation of like maybe half a dozen or 10 crosswalks, because each crosswalk costs money.
Right.
To paint.
Having
I know
done
it's
it,
$300 or $400
having done it this morning,
Oh,
doing it again in the fall,
I don't think
doing the survey would not be a big deal.
okay, because you
It's like
know,
an hour and a half.
I thought it would be something like that.
But now's a good
So
time
this
to
is-
do it because it's right after
This
the
is
winter
perfect.
and-
This is when Dave asked us to do it. Thank you. So I guess I was going to do this at the next meeting, but for this discussion, how do we, I would think that the most important ones are the ones that get the heaviest pedestrian traffic. And those are the ones that if we only have, if Public Works says we only have a budget for 8, which 8 do you want? So we should come back with sort of a priority on that.
That would be fairly
That's it.
straightforward.
Would it be?
Very straightforward.
Do you guys want to do that and just add that to this? Say A's, B's, and C's?
Well, no, I would.
Oh, you already did? Not the condition.
No, but at the top, it just gave them a general, it's easy.
It's easy?
It's Route 1, it's Elm Street and Main Street, and it's the downtown, pretty much all the downtown
Downtown's gone.
streets,
Yeah.
including the Washington Street, Mechanic Street intersection down here, that's completely gone. So if you had to limit it, it would be.
The downtown
That's what we
section.
would do, is the downtown area.
Did you pick up, I haven't looked at it, but did you pick up also Union Street over
Yeah.
by the,
Union,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mentioned that Union and.
because that one even didn't get painted. It's the one right on the border with Rockport. It's like whose is whose. It's right by the transfer station.
Oh, no,
No, that's
actually,
a-
I pointed it out as we were going out, but I thought it was in Rockport.
No, it's not.
Feels like once you go under the thing.
But
in
it's not.
Rockport, But it's not. yeah.
It's not.
Oh, really? Well, it
Yeah.
definitely should be on.
So
there.
can you add that to that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wait, where is it?
Right,
Um,
it's the one, it's the crosswalk that goes
It's right by
to
Hammond
Quarry Hill
Yeah.
on Union.
Lime Rock.
It's like right on the border though. Because
Lime Rock,
Quarry
yeah.
Hill
Where
is
the-
considered Camden.
Where the bike path?
Yeah.
Sort of starts, well, no,
No.
no, it doesn't. It starts,
yeah.
it's at Lime Rock.
Yeah.
It's not the bike path one, it's the one that crosses to Quarry
Oh,
Quarry
okay.
Hill. The sidewalk from Quarry Hill comes down and then it's just, nobody paints it. It's sort of like who's on first.
And
Yeah.
actually, the one in front of the Y, where you turn into the Y, is almost as bad. I mean, it's in
But I think
Rockport.
that one's Rockport, yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. So anyway, the message is say, hey, Public Works, Camden's doing this. What do you guys
So I
think?
think actually that's something for us to just mention, making
Yeah.
sure.
Right. Yeah.
When
We're
you look,
letting
go ahead.
AI do our minutes, so,
Ah,
because we've got Zoom on.
when you
I'll
look at,
edit them.
when you look at money spent, sometimes when you have limited funds, doing things that have the most impact, this is kind of very economical. I love what we did on Pearl Street, but oh my God, that's like something, we can't build every street like we did on Pearl
Like
Street.
that, yeah.
But safety, painting things and fixing the sidewalks that are already trippable, things that trip, and
Yeah.
those are minor little things. Then we can go to the big infrastructure remodels, but painting, we paint our store, it's not that big, but it's not that expensive. It's
I know.
cost.
I know Public Works knows exactly how much
Yeah.
each one costs because
Yeah.
they get, I think somebody comes in and does it for them.
Yeah, they do. They do it overnight usually, and I think the only thing I would urge them is that if they kind of jump on it and do it, because like I mentioned earlier, when here, Portland's already doing theirs.
Everybody takes who comes up on Elm Street that wants to go to Hannaford, so they don't have to walk
All the way down to the end of the.
all the
track.
way down into the traffic and into the parking lot. They just cut behind Subway and go down Conway Road. And it's like not even 50 yards, I don't
Yeah,
think
no,
long.
Richard and I walked it recently.
Like, it's like 30 yards, maybe, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that one's pretty short.
That's really short and well-established. And we're going to try to see if we can maybe get the town to take those over somehow. That would be awesome. Yeah, only 2 property owners involved, 1 for each shortcut. There's 2 shortcuts, informal connectors. So there's a possibility that Camden, via the counsel, the lawyer that they use, is more open to the precedent where if people walk, it's been shown that they've been there walking and using something for like 20 or 25 years, then it's sort of public domain or something like that. And so that gives them the ability to say, yeah, we can formalize this.
But one sounds like it's going to have to be a land purchase to formalize it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna, I think we should ask and see if the landowner is willing to like, let the town buy it, like section it off from their property. It's right on the edge. It's only like this wide from here to you, wide at the very edge of their property. So it'd be like, yeah, let's buy this 5 by 100 feet and we'll take it off your property taxes and
Yep.
and whatever its value is.
Can they just do a right away?
Or they might be able to, there is something called well, for instance, the one on Cobb Hill Road is a sewer easement.
Oh.
It's already sewer, but that's not enough because that just allows the town to go in and do maintenance.
Okay.
So it's a different thing. And I don't think they have something that says a right of way for pedestrians.
Maybe they could,
Is there such a thing?
I don't know, they might be able to
I
create.
don't know.
I know there's such a thing as a trail easement. that you can do, which is a right of way for people to use.
Well, that's what a lot of our GRLT has been.
That's exactly where I got the idea from GRLT. Yeah. Linda looks awful.
You doing okay, Linda?
Linda, you look like you're at half mast. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
You're back. Thank you.
So I think keeping the informal PED connectors just sort of in the mindset, and that gives us kind of another way of thinking about what already exists for paths
Right.
that people are using. And
And we might be
Those
able to
might-
do that on the CHRS part, some of the CHRS, maybe.
yeah, or it might be, yeah, it depends on,
Anyway, we'll let you know if Camden makes progress on that and whatever tools that we establish, it would be
That's great.
great if you could use it in Rockport too.
okay, let's move on to, unless there's any more to add to that. PR's ideas for supporting bike pedestrian work. PR ideas. So I don't know if this is something, Jeff and Linda, whether you guys were talking about this or whether this is more of a Camden piece. I know that, we've had some discussions in Rockport about some PR, which is more like under number 6. So what are we thinking for this? Is this really thinking about our sharrows and that kind of?
We spent a meeting talking about this and we came up with a bunch of ideas, basically categorizing them into let's beat our drum about what we've done and then also beat our drum about what we'd like to do. And it just helps Public Works get some attaboys for what they've done and then also get hopefully public support for what they're going to do. And that's straight from when Dave St. Laurent, remember when that's what it's from. So anything that either group puts out there is good for both. Meaning it's good for Camden, it's good for Rockport, anything that goes in the paper, it's sort of like for both. So we came up with, Anita's already written an article talking about the Riverwalk and get out in the spring and enjoy the 3 different sections of the Riverwalk. That's an idea. Tom has written an article about why he moved here because of the walkability of the town and how great it is. And he's also twisted it into promoting, let's do more and try to support the town and do complete streets. And then, we'll do an article probably about advisory lanes and then sharrows, things like that. So, and then John Street, try to write about John Street. And
Awesome.
I think it'd be great if you guys, what's it called? The VIP? BPI? VIP? The
Partnership.
VIP? BPI?
Partnership.
Yeah, initiative. Man, you guys need to do an article on that. That was such a great report. And we don't want to let people forget about that. That was just
We
so
will. In
awesome.
fact, when we get to number 6, we can
Okay.
speak about.
So that would be an idea. I'll send a list of ideas to you guys and hopefully it'll trigger some ideas that you guys could do as well. And then maybe you want to write one of these. I don't know.
So the discussion I want to have,
Yeah, go.
where is the best place to send the article? Gary was saying in the last meeting that not that many people picking up
Yeah.
the Villager. So I don't know. Send it to
The other thing I thought of,
Someplace else we should send it, or
Penn Bay Pilot.
Penn Bay, that's the most read, I think, is Penn Bay, yeah.
in addition, is there any place else?
Well, one of the things we talked about at our last Rockport meeting was, even though it's not, heavily used, but we can tie it to Instagram, is we got the okay from Rockport to start posting back on the Old Pathways Facebook page.
But I can do that. I'm one of the guys.
Yeah.
Lenny's the other guy, I think.
Right, but if we tie Instagram into that,
Oh, I don't know how to
you
do
can-
that.
that's easy.
Yeah,
Because
but-
they're the same.
But the other thing was that any article that we submit, we will post a link onto the Facebook page too. So that it sort of, the whole
Exactly.
article, but that it's sort of, they all feed each other and hopefully
Exactly.
one of the channels works for different people. Linda, you had your hand up? Or-
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea to focus on accomplishments, not just we want to do this or we want to do that,
Oh, yeah.
but to focus on what has happened. And I know that there's going to be a fresh look at the Tannery Park by Camden Parks and Rec, which sounds really great. And I think the Snowball guys are going to be over there next week to clean up that area. And so that's a good focus on the Riverwalk, combining with beefing up Tannery Park. And I do like your idea, Jeff, of splitting the load, sharing the load amongst people on the committee, and just doing short pieces. I wouldn't advise doing long pieces, but short, like updates from Camden Rockport Pathways.
Yeah. Just circle back quick, Linda. I thought that the master plan for the tannery was not included in the budget.
I don't know, but I think Public Works can go over there and tidy up.
Oh, they're
You know,
going
I
to do
don't-
that. I just thought you said that people are going over to make plans and stuff. I mean, if they're going over to
No, I
make
think
plans.
Yeah, no, I think it's a cleanup, get the crap out and make it more attractive, for when you have the
For what is there?
Are they looking
farmer's
for,
market
Yeah.
and other, and just make it more usable right now.
are they,
No major plans.
they don't want any help, do they? They don't want
No, they don't,
dumb
No.
people? Yeah, okay.
no. They just went up onto the Snowball and they cleaned out over by the Cooler Trail that all of this crap, tires and stuff that had been left for years from the, what was it, the Scuttle or whatever it was. And
Oh,
there was a
yeah,
lot of
that
stuff in the
I
woods.
can't believe how much was
They-
up there.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. So they hauled it all out and took, and they had a lot. And now they're focusing on cleaning up the tannery. So, that's it's a good thing to incorporate, to show that, we're trying to do things and we are doing things, and not the focus on, oh, we need $1.5 million, to do something.
No, this
Nobody-
is touting what we got. Yeah,
Yeah.
attaboys, yeah. Gary wanted to say something.
I just want to make a quick comment from how you reach people now. I think a lot is perhaps someone that's well spokesman for our group. Go to the Lions Club, go to the Kiwanis, and like Linda says, tell the accomplishments of what the committee has done and line up for the future. Because those people, you got a captive audience, and then they can tell their friends, and just going to any organization like the Lions Club.
Yeah,
There's a lot of members there. Unfortunately, we don't have a Chamber of Commerce now, temporarily,
yeah.
but reaching people like that, then you're reaching a person. When you put it on the media, you hope to reach people, but then they can ask questions like we do at the meeting. So,
You're
and,
right.
and get enthusiasm
That's right.
about the projects that we'd like to have done.
It's
And maybe possibly even donors that would like to help with a project.
Hmm.
And Rockport is so successful in getting donors. Can they, more so than Camden, I think, of late. And I wish Camden people, I wish those donors, if they get extra money in Rockport, they can donate it to Camden. But there's a lot of people that want
You're
to.
talking about the park? Are you talking about the park?
Yeah, I think you're talking about the park.
The park, well, the fire station, the Rockport Fire
The fire
Station.
station, yeah.
There's money that was contributed in the park, but there's people that that love this area, want to be a part of it, reaching out to them, even the simple thing, helping with a bike path, and less relying on government funding, or in conjunction with government funding. And first of all, we got to sell it to them. This is a project worth investing in, and it's going to be a benefit to the community as a whole. But I know that I used to be in politics years ago, and the most effective thing was going to these organizations and speaking to people.
Yeah.
And they have a question and answer period. And then and most of the time you can sell them on what you want, your accomplishments, what you want to do, and that's effective. And
Good idea.
I wrote it down.
But there isn't a specific ask yet.
No,
No,
but it doesn't
no.
have to be an ask
No.
either.
Right,
It's just saying, this is what's going on. Do you guys have questions? Because a lot of people don't even know what we do or,
As well as input as to where do they see.
One question on the thought to PR, we've been talking a little bit about written PR through the paper or Facebook or whatnot. Are there limitations on what can be done as a partnership, for example, with the Y or with Maine Sports? If we have sidewalks or if we have certain streets that have been worked on and we want to tout that, could we work with them to create a thing where every week there's a different walking path or trail to visualize for people to go do themselves, right? They check them all off, and who knows, maybe they get a Maine Sports kind of certificate. And it would be a way to sort of publicize what's occurred in the town, so that people actually actively see it, right? If it's a bike path, let them actually.
sort of like
ride.
who's walked every sidewalk in the town?
Yeah, or whatever's been,
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
touted by the town as far as an improvement. And it could be a cross-town type of, just another way
Right, it's
to
a neat
drive
idea.
awareness, you know?
It would actually motivate them to use it.
That would be something that would resonate with me. It's like, oh, I got to get the checklist.
That's right, get the
and they do it
checklist.
where like they put a barcode somewhere that you got to scan with your phone and, you know, you've done them all or whatever, you know, just a thought.
Like I haven't walked Washington Street because I haven't need to, but
Yeah.
if it was on the checklist, I would.
and getting the high school involved, the high school students in middle school too,
Program.
getting those kids involved that you can make it fun for them, because those are the ones who are going to be the biggest beneficiary of it because they're younger. But just getting the word out, and because you
Actually,
talk
there
to
are-
most people in the Pathways Committee and they go, what's that?
That's
They
right.
don't know.
Actually, the Y would be a good partner because they're doing
Oh,
these
yeah.
challenges every.
Right, they have,
well,
that's
30
what I was thinking,
miles
yeah.
for, you know.
Yeah.
Or 1,000 miles in a year or
Yeah.
something, yeah. Part of this, whatever the list is, and these are great ideas, we also need people to step up and say, yeah, I'll organize that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So try to own it too.
Well, I think we've got to be really clear and whether we want to talk about this now, like what are the list of like the top things that we would want to draw to people's attention in Camden? What are the top things in Rockport? Or whether we do that informally on an email and have people, chime in.
Yeah, I think it's more because you're going to have to be either talking about or writing or doing something in conjunction with it, that it's more what speaks to you. You as the owner. So Anita really wanted to write about the Riverwalk. And I said, great, do it. Tom really wanted to write, well, he didn't, I don't know if he really wanted to, but he mentioned that he thought of doing it. And he said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And he shared what his thought process was moving to Camden. It's like, yeah, he wants to do that. I didn't ask him to write about bike repairs that are going on in Rockport and in Rockland and at the transfer station. He wasn't interested in that, or maybe he is. But.
No, but that's a good example because
But-
I'm not interested.
Yeah. So choose something you're interested in. And I think your idea is dovetailing on what you're talking about, Margot, is I can send around this bullet list and say, hey, any of these resonate with you? Tell the group, sign up, do it. It could be a competition. Who walks the most routes in Rockport? Who rides
So
the
I
most
guess
routes?
that would be like, we put together just a Rockport list. This is what,
I don't think it has to be Rockport or Camden because it's any of the PR is going to go for both towns.
true, but I mean, just to think about.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's going to
yeah,
resonate,
yeah.
and then we have this master list.
Sure,
And that's what then you can create this secondary kind of
Sure.
thing from.
sure. Absolutely. So I can send that around and you guys can brainstorm it.
Okay, that sounds
We'll
good.
keep picking away at it.
And that might be something to kind of think about over the summer as we're out and about, because we're actively out and about.
Well, I want to start doing stuff now.
But I know, but I'm saying like now's the time. We're getting, when I say summer, it's like we're over the winter hump when there's no snow on the ground. Yeah, I'm
If-
thinking.
My thing, all the other stuff that's going on this committee is great. These are pathways and like little infrastructure things, safety for the pedestrians, but I would love to see a safe pathway to the snowball that someone could actually ride a bike without getting hurt. I know it's maybe a big endeavor, but I think that that's something that people, the community would get behind and say, wow, this is really something that is going to benefit people using the snowball.
Yeah,
Because we
Park
just-
Street's the other one.
Yeah, but I know, but we need a safe passage and somehow combine it from Park and through, but a safe passageway to the snowball.
Yeah, Linda.
Oh, sorry.
So, no, this is in conjunction with what you're saying. There is a plan to do that. There are plans and it's tied into the snowball revisioning effort that's going on now, but to tie into, what is it, go dirt road and then around and then down through the woods, because to try to put a road on Hosmer Pond Road is, I mean, there's no space really anywhere there, and we've tried for years, but there are others who are thinking about that exact thing that you're talking about, and I agree. I mean, that is one of the most heavily used. A lot of it wouldn't be a pathway in the structure that the Pathways Committee wants to see built, but you know, we're not going to see those type of pathways, those that would take wheelchairs and are gravel and are 5 or 6 foot wide throughout the town. But this is sort of an adjunct. But it is being talked about and worked on, which is encouraging.
Yeah.
Who's talking about it and working on it?
It's
Rockport
the
or Camden?
The snowball revision.
Camden is, yeah, with the and I don't remember the name of the consultant, the newest consultant
All right.
that's working at the Snowball.
Did not know they were working on,
The
I
guy
thought they
from
were just
Saddleback?
concentrating on
Master
that.
plan.
Yeah.
Linda, the Saddleback guy?
No, it's a
Okay.
whole nother outfit, and they
Yeah.
are actively working on new trails and it's the SE group. It's called the SE group. They're actively working on designing new trails, closing down old trails that are eroding and I guess not well engineered for mountain biking and hiking and so forth. But within that master plan comes the connection, hopefully down through the woods, down to that, I think it's on, what is it, Rollins Road?
Rollins
Rollins
Road,
Road.
yeah.
Yeah, down in that area and then along into the Rockport Trail and down into the urban areas.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, oh, okay. That's it.
Let's,
I'll work with you on that if you
And-
Oh,
want.
yeah, I think maybe with the other committee, maybe one or two of us could sit in on those meetings with them from the Pathways. We could work in conjunction with them. And the more people we get involved from different committees, there's more outreach and hopefully can maybe get something
would
done.
Jeff, Snowball, Jeff be the person to contact? Linda?
Yeah, but they have been holding meetings. I believe they held one meeting, and I think they're gonna do more. I think that's part of their process. So I think we have to stay attuned to what's going on there. And that's just communication amongst ourselves and staying, watching what's coming up in Camden and meetings. And I'm happy to keep watch on that and then circulate to you guys when this topic may come up. Because I agree, we should, as Pathways Committee, we should be, meeting and listening and understanding and giving input when they invite public input.
The last meeting was for public input, facilitated by the consultant guys. And the connection came up and Jeff said, yeah, and Pathways is also thinking about it. Jeff right there. Yeah. So he pointed at me and said, so yeah, just got to stay in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called the master plan. They're trying to make a master plan for the area for the Four Season, just picking up on where OSI and everybody else left off and just moving it along.
But I think it's really important and you all may think differently and want to evolve this committee in different ways, but to me, the fundamental purpose of this committee is to make safe alternative modes of transportation for everybody, not just people on bikes and people who are hiking and, running, but for, as we always say, people, elderly, pulling carts behind them, going from grocery store to home, or people who, had their license pulled for whatever reason, or kids. So I just want to make sure that we don't veer off into getting consumed by trails.
Absolutely. Our charter is to hook together destinations. That's what it is. Yeah. I think we're on the same page on that, Linda. We're not in the business of doing recreational trails.
Yeah.
More simply put, thank you, Jeff.
I just think this is a good example because I'm just in my mind, I'm trying to picture how wide the shoulders are from, say, Simonton Corners out to Rollins Road. And I think there is space there, along there. Yeah.
It's
to
once you
put a
get
nice-
to the lake.
It's to the
There's-
lake.
Right.
Rollins Road
But
is.
Rollins
you know,
Road, if
makes
they're
sense,
planning
and-
to try to make, the problem with the hills coming from the Snowball to Rollins Road is that you go a pretty steep hill up to it from the Snowball. So your average family out walking isn't going to want to do that, but maybe they were thinking about leveling that out some. I don't
Well, the
know.
Round the Mountain Trail goes up there.
Right,
it
but to
goes
get
like
from
right
the
through
bottom
King-
of the Snowball up to the
Yeah.
main part of the Round the Mountain Trail is a pretty steep hike.
It's in the
It's not-
discussions, Tom.
Right.
They're
so-
very aware of that.
Right, so I'm
Totally.
just saying that if they can work out something for that part of it, then maybe we can push more on the part of getting from Simonton Corners to there, or from John Street to there, let's put it that way, because we're gonna have a sidewalk at John Street, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that looks more doable. If they can get from their end to Rollins Road, I think from Rollins Road into town probably is not going to be that difficult. I mean, you still have to
It's hard.
spend
There's
money,
drainage. Drainage is the problem.
even from Rollins Road in.
Oh, yeah. The whole edge of the road has
Back
got
out and
a,
look at it.
it's got a deep drainage ditch along the
Yeah,
edge of
that's the
it.
problem. Remember where you go.
Anyway,
Anyway,
yeah,
Okay.
that's a big project. It's monster.
Let's move on to the high school connector. Linda, are you willing to give an update on the VPI?
Yeah, well, jump in if I'm misrepresenting anything. It is not in the budget. And
What is
was-
What's it?
Oh,
It is not in the
Connector
budget.
from Route.
It is not.
1 to
So-
the high school.
so the VPI, everybody remembers that, right? So the
Yes.
Sewell report and
Yes.
endorsing, and so the next step then is to get a plan together, engineering plan, and to start making that happen. It was not in the budget, and rationally so, because Rockport has not pursued it with the DOT to a point where it's, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, where the DOT is saying, yeah, we've got money here to pursue the next phase. It was too premature, and Rockport's budget was, and is way, it's really, really high this year, just like Camden's. So that was pulled out. But with the Pathways Committee, we talk about it every time we convene, and we talk about, okay, so how do we then, it falls back into the marketing and the PR, raising the visibility, bringing it up, talking about it, and pursuing it in conjunction with, what is it? We're going to submit another grant. tell me, Margot, where I'm veering off track here, because I'm,
Yeah, and this is where it is a high priority within the plan and the VPI part of what's been proposed. But all of it is money that we have no idea whether it will ever exist.
So when you keep saying it, I'm assuming you're saying we have
DOT.
this sort of high-level Sewell master plan for what this could look like. But the next step would be fill in the blank, and that takes money to do. And the next step is not engineering drawings, is it?
yeah, I think the next step is the engineering drawing. We've done the feasibility, which was the Sewell report, and the Sewell, and this VPI also includes the bridge. Now, the DOT is going ahead with the bridge, the Goose River Bridge, obviously, because it's in bad shape. So the concentration, the concentration of the VPI at this point is on the bridge and making sure we've got pedestrian and bicycle access going across that. The pathway from the intersection of West Street, because I believe that the new park is going to take care of the pathway along West Street. I'm hoping that that's the case, or some form of it. So then really it's the intersection of 90 and
Crossing
1.
up 90.
And then getting out to the high school. So it's that section. And that would be the engineering. And that is, okay, let's start banging the drum. And, hopefully it would be an 80-20 split.
There's nothing wrong with knocking off different pieces of it, the
There's-
bridge being one.
Right.
Go ahead.
I don't know if we're forgetting, if you're talking about the money that was potentially in the budget, to Rockport budget, we pulled it out, right?
Right.
Pulled it out because the state loved the plan so much that with them doing the bridge, they wanted to pursue it all as a package.
All the way on Pascal and
I don't quote me specifically on but they wanted the whole package.
that would make sense.
Because they love the VPI thing.
So they're trying to
They have to do the
extend, yeah,
bridge.
yeah.
And I think they were talking about maybe out to the high school, but I'm not 100% sure of that. But we
That's
pulled the money
monstrous.
out because the state is totally jazzed about it. And then they're looking to try to pull that all together in one funded package. And then I think Rockport only is on the hook for like 10% of it or something like that.
Right. So right now you've pulled
There's-
back your matching for the bridge because they've
Well,
potentially
Pulled back
expanded
for the
it.
pathways and stuff.
Halfway.
Yeah, the bridge has nothing to do with.
There's no
I mean, the
matching
bridge
funds
is
in
the
that?
VPI, but the bridge, the DOT is moving ahead with the bridge on its own.
And they liked
Right.
they liked all the VPI stuff so much that they're looking to incorporate all of it as a state,
What's the timeline on the bridge?
something like that. So it's not as dire.
Gosh, it's been
as I-
pending for so long, but you can look up online. That'd be the way to do that.
Do we know the timeline for the bridge?
Not specifically, at least probably a couple of years is what I'm
Yeah.
kind of getting the impression of.
But I think the commitment of the Pathways Committee to, and we were going to be talking about this at our May meeting on highlighting that project along with other marketing ideas as well. So the focus remains on, for Pathways, for the Route 90, for sure.
I would agree.
And doing PR, so that would be on our list of.
That would be great in terms of pre-selling the concept, to the community and saying, yeah, we need to support the select board when they come around to trying to come up. There's going to be matching funds eventually.
It's something.
There's got to be.
And I'm unclear.
You hope.
But it
Yeah, let's hope.
It sounded very optimistic. The timeline might be longer, but
Okay, any other comments or questions about connector?
The bridge is sometime between 2025 and 2027.
The sidewalk on both sides of it this time,
This
Not
is
the
just the bridge. Yes, that's
the
correct.
bridge itself, yeah.
Sidewalks. Yeah.
6.1 million is what they got. It's in the 2025 to 2027 list. It lists it as 2026 as a target.
That's good.
It's right around the corner.
That's good. It's been out for a while.
Have you guys, just as an aside, have we heard anything from the federal government from the Department of Transportation cuts at all? Is there anything about that?
We can't, I would hesitate to plan ahead for anything like that.
I'm not asking to plan ahead. I'm just asking, has anybody heard anything from the US Department of Transportation about making cuts, or if their
Yeah.
funding is,
What they would be doing is yanking the Biden's infrastructure bill, which is where all this money's coming from. And the question is whether they can yank it back or not. That's what it's going to be.
While not applicable to sidewalks, do the Pathways Committee get involved at all in pursuing grants for more smaller trail sections? There was a conversation the last time I saw a meeting where somebody was talking about a power line route.
That's
to
the high school.
And you were just talking about going across the bridge by down in Camden. There's a little trail you were trying to make, or a little connector.
At Hannaford's, yeah.
And I was a part of, I listened to the Main Trails program. I'm
Yeah.
not sure for, $30 million. They're going out, putting on grant applications in September. I'm just wondering, does this organization, do we try to highlight ones that we want to help pursue, or is that not?
It's a dance, because ultimately the town has to be part of that.
Yep.
And the town has a certain capacity or bandwidth to handle everything. So we can offer, and ultimately they have to say, yeah, that's good, do that. So that would be something you'd go forward with the development office and say, you've got a really savvy development office anyway. So the question is whether that's something you can partner with them or not, and say, hey, we've got this idea. This is it. It's a little small project. We want to go after the main trails thing that's going on and ask for $10,000. And if we write that up, would you be willing to submit it or something
their
like that?
max is $250,000 for a grant. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know, Margot.
But Orion seemed receptive. The
Yeah.
question is whether Jeremy on the Camden side, and it has to align with,
And I didn't know if we even had a project in the works. I know the priority is the connector to the high school on
those
90.
are like the big
Right,
DOT
but
kind of
like,
things.
I'm not even sure what it is. There's the Lily Pond discussion.
There's the
which
Lily
I think
Pond
is
also.
that little
We're getting to that.
Railroad behind that.
Yeah.
Right.
Lily Pond, but also we've talked about the CMP power lines
Right.
coming back to them. And there seems to be, this may be the perfect time to explore
Yeah.
those
I'll be
things.
quiet. I was just trying to figure out how stuff happens.
Yeah, and it's kind of, it's, there's no set rule, all right? You have to approach each one with an open mind and, yeah. Ryan's a good partner.
Okay, shall we?
So, just one more thing on the connector. It's almost dry enough to schedule a walk, and then take some pictures and things like that to sort of look at
Which connectors?
Camden High School, the power line, the power line. Yeah, the power line. Sorry,
Oh, but we've been talking about the
Route
one on
90.
Route 90, right?
Route 90. Yeah, we've been talking about Route 90. Yeah, I just changed it.
The
Sorry.
original one
Okay,
from
so are we
20
talking about that now? Is that now where we are?
outside of what?
Yeah, because it's also related to the high school, connecting to the high school.
Okay, so I went out there after the last meeting, and of course, there was snow on the ground, everything was frozen. But I don't see any way you're going to put a trail through there.
Okay, so
Sorry.
when you say you went out there, it's a very long
Yes,
alignment.
I
What
went-
was
I
out
went
there?
3 days in a row, or not 3 days anyway, over a period of a week or so. And did from the DPW on John Street.
Yeah.
Walk down, you go
Go
down,
down, go up over,
and first of all, you've got wetlands
It's
at
very
the
wet.
bottom of that
it's very
ravine.
wet.
Was okay then because it was frozen, walked through that, no problem. Up on the next one, and then
It's very
You-
steep down.
a big, another hill down, and then you come up to the trails that, not Tanglewood, Mary Spring,
Mary Spring.
which are quite extensive. Of course,
They
they're
are.
going the other direction, really
That's right.
nice. I was impressed with how nice they were. And then after that hill, you start down, and then you have a really big hill, which does have stairs on it that
It
Mary
does.
Spring has put.
Yep,
There's no way anyone to riding a bicycle down there
that's right.
unless you put in just
Long
zigzags
switchbacks.
all the way down.
Yep.
And then when you get down to the
That's
bottom,
why I got an e-bike.
Yeah.
I
you
don't-
wouldn't do
It's
this
too
on an
steep.
e-bike
It's
either.
too steep.
You wanted to
Yeah.
keep it. And then at the bottom,
It's
you hit the
wet.
wetlands,
And they're immense.
and they're big.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to need an awfully big bridge
Yeah,
to go across those wetlands. And
Yeah.
the last time we had a big rainstorm that really hit Rockport for some reason, it seemed like more than Camden. I was
you were there?
working with some people
Oh.
who were there, as a matter of fact. And they said it was just awful. That entire area was really flooded.
It is really wet.
And then
You're
you gotta
absolutely
get
right.
up the hill to, and on the other side, all through Rockport.
Well, you got to get through the
I-
golf course too.
These are all the same
Yeah.
issues that came up.
It's the
last
same
time with
issues.
that alignment a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's why I was asking, why are you bringing this up? And somebody said, well, it's because it's been on the back burner for a long time. Well, I just,
Long time.
after walking it, and I also went up to the, which was
Mystic.
towards Simonton Road,
Missed it.
all the way up there and tried to find a place up there where you could get across the wetlands. And I couldn't find anything. So unless I missed something, and I don't think I did, that's a big project you're talking about.
No, it is a big project, and it's the one that Dave St. Laurent was alluding to a lot when he was visiting with us. And he suggested that we try to just, it's all related to a right-of-way of some nature or another, because it's all under the power lines, is that we can scratch in, just an informal, single-track trail. It's not anything fancy, and if people start using it, we start establishing it, write some stories about it,
Except that
and we wouldn't put anything more than steps going down. And then there's the issues of the wetlands. I have a couple ideas of ways to get around that wetland, but
that would be the key.
that's the key. That wetland is the key. And I've explored it from
Formal or
a,
informal. I don't see any way you go
Yeah.
across there.
well, it's not
without
there.
bridge.
You'd go in a slightly different section. Yeah, I've explored all through Mary Spring, just sort of poking out in there. I think it's possible.
In any event, it's definitely not on the high priority list in terms,
It's not high end. This is something we're nudging
exactly.
and we're seeing where it will go. It's not, we're not jamming it. We're not doing formal presentations.
But
We're
kind of
just-
thinking about, it's not something we're going to put energy into thinking about.
No,
grant for
no.
this.
The next thing is for, the group talked about this 4 months ago and everybody was hot to walk it. And we
Thank
said
you,
in
Tom.
the
I'd
spring,
love to walk
we
it
said,
again. If
Yeah.
Anybody wants to
we'll,
go.
yeah, and we can do it in 3 segments. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And document it. And Dave St. Laurent asked us to document it too. And then I thought what we'd do is put together, I've already put together the properties involved and designated those so we can send that map to Dave. Next thing is to sort of overlay it with photos to get an idea what the terrain is like and where the challenges are. And we can do the sections that we can do. All right.
There's no alligators in those wetlands, I hope, or.
Now, that's why Tom's going first.
Not yet.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Margot.
So let's move on to Rockport's complete streets. And for the Camden people, I put our draft version that we cleaned up on Monday. We cleaned up and is now going to go to the select board. It had go through with Dakota at DOT to give some feedback on
Oh,
what he thought would be red flags for DOT. And so kind of finesse the language, and we have our final draft to go to select board. And
cool.
we'll see. So I put it in the Google Drive. Rockport uses a different system that it has to live in, but I put a draft, the current
In the
draft,
drive?
in the drive.
Okay.
If people want to, if they're interested in looking at it. But it feels like we've got, definitely the whole Rockport team as well as Michael and Orion on board.
That's great.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything to add to that? Any highlights? I think one of the big things is, everything is based on money, and this wouldn't change that. Like, if money is a constraint, it's still going to be a constraint, and it may limit like the language still lets money be
The issue.
the
Yeah, an issue.
most compelling
Yeah.
reason.
If you
But
don't have the money, forget it.
right. But what it does do is at least, like Park Street would have had a process to ensure that we had some sort of, conversation about a pathway
That's the idea.
that would not have been rebuilt without at least
that
going
conversation.
through that conversation.
Exactly. That would be awesome.
So
Trying to remember where Park Street and
Yep.
Rockport is.
it's by the Goose River Golf Club, that whole
Oh,
stretch. They rebuilt the whole road and with nothing on. In fact, I just saw 2 bicycles on there today, and I'm like, there's a car coming straight at me because they're trying to avoid this, bicyclist. And I'm like, I'm going to slow down. But at the same time, it's like, that's what people do.
Linda has something. She's dying to say something.
Linda.
Yeah, so I think it's a huge thing to get the complete streets approved, hopefully, by the select board.
Exactly.
Because then Orion can start implementing the ordinances, start crafting, amending ordinances. But that's where the real work comes in. This was work, but then the next step is even harder, I think, in that, it just doesn't stop. We've got to brainstorm about which ordinances, where, what we want to see, and how we present that to Orion, who takes it to, I guess, at this point, Michael, the select board, because the ordinance review committee is no more in Rockport. And then the select board says, we'll go to the planning board or go to, it may affect parking, or it may. So we have to start thinking about how complete streets policy gets then implemented within the town itself.
Exactly. But I think we should let's get the ball down to the first down line. let's just get the policy accepted or approved by the select board. That would be awesome. And then hopefully there'll be some discussion generated at that time, or even at the following meeting. You're absolutely right. The teeth are in the ordinances. I did have something to add from Camden side, and I don't know if you know that, but we did a complete reset on our draft because the select board asked that we, instead of starting here in the committee, we start with Public Works. And so they said, get Public Works to buy in and submit it because they're the ones who are going to have to implement it. And since Dave St. Laurent had operated under the Rockland Complete Streets policy, I suggested, you can either use this one, or if you're more comfortable with the Complete Streets written up in Rockland, that's fine too. And he said, I like the Rockland one. And so just
Because he wrote it, right?
because I don't know if he wrote it, but so that's what's tracking. Dave St. Laurent, it was sort of rewritten and tweaked a little bit. And now it's back to Audra to bring forward to the select board.
Great.
Yeah, so it's almost tracking even with you guys. But the only difference is that it's based on Rockland's.
Great.
Does it come back to Camden Pathways to review before it goes to the select board?
I didn't do that.
I think we.
I didn't do that because it's really comes from Public Works. Our job was I see our job to move the process forward to get a complete streets policy. Yeah.
But I think we should.
I'm happy to do that.
I think we should look at it. If the Pathways Committee, I don't want one person to decide everything in Camden or two people. I'm a Rockland guy. That's where I was from. I don't know if I want to go with Rockland Complete Streets necessarily in Camden. And I can say that because I'm a Rockland guy. But Camden and Rockland are different communities. To me, it seems like an easy way out for Dave St. Laurent. Just, oh, I got that all done. Just do that, rubber stamp that. I think that there needs input from this committee. And when he has a plan, I think that still should be input from the committee and not just be rubber stamped.
Sure.
Because he's stretched, he's running 5 departments in Camden. He's very stretched. And he doesn't have enough time to do any one thing. And it's like, it's almost like plagiarism of taking a report and say, oh, this is what Rockland did and this throw it in Camden. You know, we have this board committee and we should come up with our own ideas and have how the government works is we as citizens, obviously, then we input the select board members and then that sets the policy, not coming from a department head or even a town manager. So I think that we should definitely find out. And I don't think just rubber stamping whatever he comes up with is a good idea, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Just dealing with
Fair enough.
But the elements of the complete streets policy are pretty universal. So I think it's just like it was tweaked. Ours was, for what Department of Transportation thought would be like, would hold us up if, so there was some guidance about like,
Okay.
get rid of this language because it's just going to be, a red flag.
Yeah.
And, but we actually looked at Freeports as a template, but
Yeah.
kind of chopped out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's a
But
better analogy. Using something like Kennebunkport or even Bar Harbor, Ogunquit for Camden Yacht. And
If they would
especially,
have them.
yeah, but Kennebunkport is so similar to Camden in so many ways.
Yeah, and I'm happy to send this around.
Yep.
I did send it around when we were drafting it up before. Nobody commented on it.
Yeah.
Just saying, I'm happy to do it again. And I'd also just underscore what Margot said, which is that it's a policy. It has very few details in it. It's a guiding policy, and they're all so similar when you read all the different towns.
Okay.
So similar. Linda?
But I will argue that we did in Rockport, we did make sure that there was some language in there that reflected Rockport's essential character. Like we mentioned agriculture, we mentioned the land trust, we mentioned certain areas, and I think that that's important. I don't know what policy the language looks like in yours, and I'll take a look when you do it. But I do think it's a good idea to make sure that each community has its priorities set somewhere in that policy.
Okay.
Good. And Jeff, the version of the complete streets that's in the Google Doc, just for us to reference, is,
Oh,
From
the one from
October.
Rockport?
no, the one from Camden is from
I don't think
October.
it's there. Yeah, that was the one that was reviewed by the Camden Committee, but not the one that was based on that was redone by Dave
Dave.
based on the Rockland one.
Yeah.
So I
that-
have to update that.
Okay.
So it's
that'd be great,
wrong.
Just
It's
to give
wrong.
us, okay.
And yours is there too, I assume?
Yep, it's in the
Okay.
Rockport folder.
Okay.
Anything else about Complete Streets? We good? Okay, so we've got Lily Pond Transfer Station. I don't know what we have for updates, why that's on here, other than,
Well, this goes across both our towns, and the question is whether we want to resurrect it. We're getting a lot of positive vibes from the solid waste, Midco Solid Waste, that they would be in support of doing this. Doing it meaning to clean up. There's an old trail that goes right through here, but just sort of clean it up and make it happen. So that it could be a new informal trail. It goes to Greenfields, across the old catch basin there. Yeah, I don't know if we want to start doing that. The catch in this is if you look at this project, there's the Greenfields end, which just needs to be cleaned up, basically. There's an old trail in there too that's easy to follow. And then it touches the backside of the landfill at Midco Solid Waste. And there's a trail there. They use it as a road on the backside of the mountains. And there's a road there. And it goes on and on and on until it hits the Wise. It's an easement. It's a natural, some kind of natural easement. You can't build on it and stuff like that. But it's part of the Wise property. And it goes across there, and then it hits the old railway bed and dumps into Lime Rock, and that's where it gets tricky.
That's very tricky.
That's where it gets tricky, and that's all Rockport.
But you could do it just within Camden and go up.
Up to
To
the
the
Y.
Y.
Yeah, and just end it at the
but that's
Y,
also kind of touching on where one of the housing developments
potentially.
Is there,
potentially going.
has somebody proposed something there?
Somebody's buying property
That's
related.
Maisie and Brink, and I think Orion said that they were amenable to having a trail go.
That
So
would-
then it's just the last part of that Lime Rock.
Right,
That would be fantastic.
that would be fantastic. So we could knock off one at a time,
Yeah,
each property. So the question
and to
is,
see what's going to happen, because everything could come to a halt. But right now, that's
see what happens.
like just in terms of if people are going to invest in building and stuff.
Oh, but you could ask whether they'd be willing to put a trail easement across just that. It's unrelated.
No, that absolutely. And so we've had this conversation with Orion, and that seemed to be, kind
If we
of
could
a
get,
non-issue.
if we could even get, if we could get that owner to say, yeah, I'm good with it, then that gives you strength to go to the next door neighbor, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, even if you're not building anything right away.
Right,
Yeah.
even if you're not, but establish it now if there's some sentiment. It's kind of why, we tried to do this once before and the Midco Solid Waste Board was completely different. Now they seem to be more amenable. So yeah, let's do this.
This- Sorry for my ignorance. When you guys talked about getting to Lime Rock and then you said then it would get tricky, why does it get tricky once you're on a road?
It's a sort of the road is an old railway bed. The railway bed was private. It wasn't federal.
So Lime Rock is not,
And not exactly, back in there, it's not a road. And property owners consider it part of their property, even though it used to be an old railway bed. And that's why it gets tricky. Yeah, I can show you on a property map.
yeah, I was just looking at the Google map, but.
Google
because I
Map,
know that, like,
you
you
go to
can walk
go to
road,
that,
right?
go to the Rockport GIS.
You can walk Lime Rock.
You can until it says no trespassing.
Gotcha.
There's a sign there that says
And it
no
Kind of
trespassing.
goes back, what is some
Just remember
of
the guy that told me
Aldemir's back there?
No, it empties out onto Lime Rock, and now that there's a cul-de-sac and there's rocks and there's a sign there now that says No
All Mears
trespassing.
property
Oh.
actually hits Lime Rock Street, the one that's
Okay,
actually a street.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. This is further in.
Just
It,
beyond that.
I know what you're talking
yeah,
Back in the-
yeah.
You know, just before we get off that particular
Sorry.
general subject, I
Public
noticed
meeting.
on the Camden end of that,
Can't really speak.
once you came to Linden Lane, or is it Greenfield?
Yeah, whatever it is.
You go up, there's a pathway that goes and cuts through those apartment buildings,
Yes,
okay? But just up beyond.
that's
where
the opposite side, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
on the opposite side.
Yeah.
But up a little farther in that same general locale, the right-of-way for Hilltop Street comes all the way over to the right-of-way for Linden Lane. So there's no question you could put a little cut through there for people who want to, I live on Linden Lane, and
Send me a picture of that. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm not getting it.
lots of people walk their dogs on Linden Lane.
That would be,
Yeah.
it. That would be,
And it would be a nice loop for people like that who want to take a walk, but they don't want to go too far.
Yeah.
so while you're on that.
No, I'm done.
Linda,
I'm done.
Ken, Mike, is there anything else that we want to share about Rockport?
Slowly down. Great select board.
Yes, actually, there is. And I say this all the time, and I don't know what we do with it. There are several proposed housing developments.
Oh, yeah.
Two on Route 1 south of the intersection of Route 90, one at the I'm sure you all have heard the Habitat for Humanity. I think it's 10 lot plus a daycare. 10 units plus a daycare. And then further down Route 1 across from where the veterinarian used to be, the physician's building, one of them is there's a proposal to redo that into affordable housing. And then possibly one out on Route 90, and then possibly another one, and I can't remember where that is.
Was it on 17? Was it on 17?
I don't know, but it just reinforces, if you're going to increase the population in Rockport, you have to account for public safety and public health. And we have a hospital in the town. We're part of the outdoor economy, and we have these highways, these 3 highways in Rockport. And it's very easy to put a pathway along these state highways. And we just have to make sure that we do this. If we have 2 housing developments already in the works for Route 1 South in Rockport, but no accommodation for kids getting out to the schools or people getting into the village. It's a travesty, really, that we're not planning for this. And I know that
You need a complete streets policy.
well, no, we need
Well,
a
it's also that,
backbone.
but just to.
No,
piggyback
keep going, Linda.
on Linda,
Sorry, keep going.
No,
you
we've done this for so many years, and we say, oh, well, they've got cars, oh, that's gonna be okay, they can park there. That's not the point. And the point is, if we are going down and we're over accommodating developments for workforce housing or affordable housing, then we have a responsibility for getting people around more safely than just getting in a car and traveling, adding more traffic to the roads. And so I realize we have the complete streets policy, but I do think that the Pathways Committee has to speak up more about this. When at planning board meetings or whenever.
Well, that's the trick. This is always the trick, Linda. And part of the purpose of the complete streets policy is to be in the loop so that when a connector or a development is made, that it becomes part of the discussion and Pathways is part of it. The other alternative is where we sort of stand now, which is watch the planning board agenda, see what's happening, and make sure we're there the night they're talking about that particular action, and talk to the chairperson to ask them to recognize us so we can give us that input. It's
Well, it's
hard.
also, the developers are there for their specific policy, for their project. They're not looking at the whole town.
No,
But the
They're not,
planner
yeah.
is, and we as citizens are looking at the whole town, and that's the point we have to keep making. And that's the sort of thing that that and maybe that's the sort of thing we start writing about too. It's like, okay, we want people to come and reduce our tax rates by more development. That seems to be the philosophy. Well, if that's the philosophy, then how do we improve our public health and public safety?
So there's the segue, Linda, and I know you want to say something. A great little article for the paper is to say, this is why we're advocating for complete streets, for these kind of reasons.
Right,
That's it.
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Gary.
Linda may know, because I know in Florida, I own some property in Florida. Anytime you do a development in Florida, they call impact fees. Does Maine allow
Yeah.
that? That is
Yeah.
good for these new big developments, because it is going to impact the school system. It's going to impact our infrastructure and the fees of, if someone's got enough money to do a multi-million-dollar development, they can pay a little bit to the town for the impact they're causing by that increased traffic, building new sidewalks. And sometimes even they make towns put sidewalks in, and before they get the permit, sidewalk and street lighting and street stoplights and stuff. So that impact will
So you're
affect
right.
impact, but
You're
that helps out with everything before they do these developments, and maybe let them help out pay for some of this, the road structure. And they don't say no because they want to be there, and it may, but I wasn't sure if Camden or Rockport ever did
Well,
have the impact.
Rockport, it's great that you mention it, and I had forgotten that. We put that in the 2004 Rockport Comprehensive Plan, and it never went anywhere. But Orion now is talking about impact fees, and I think it's a great, if you are heading down this road of multi-developments again, like there were in the 80s in Rockport, then it makes total sense. I don't know how you levy them. I guess that's an ordinance.
Yeah, and I think, and then the whole building process, you know it up front if you're building a certain multifamily unit or size is based on square footage and number of units. But that's the way the town can get the money without the state getting a hand into it. But then we can do some of those improvements.
Yeah, but the thing is that I totally agree in some ways, but to say impact fees doesn't do anything for what Linda's talking about, which is consideration for pedestrian and bikes.
Oh, yes,
Because it would just go into the budget, the town
No, but
budget.
they could use that money to
They
improve
could
that.
use it, or it would just go into the budget.
Or we make a stipulation that money, that impact money is going to be used for certain
For-
projects.
For
Certain
pedestrians
projects.
and bicycle
In
improvements.
Orlando, the money
It-
goes to the schools, and the money is not going into the town government. It goes in to improve the schools, improve the
Sewer
walkways.
lines and all this other.
Yeah,
kind of
other
stuff.
things,
But
So the hope is with Complete Streets, and Orion has been very involved in staying connected, having Mike as our liaison.
Yeah.
The hope is that we can figure out a way to make sure that it's part of the planning process and not something that they're just feeling this amorphous pressure from around.
But with impact fees too, it's not, the local people, it's not going to increase their homes are all built, they're living here. This is for
That's right.
future costs.
that's right.
And the impact will be on them, and they make the decision to go ahead with the project or not.
So we're past time.
Okay,
Let's figure out the next meeting date. I want to make sure we can grab the minutes over here. So
Oh, it's the next meeting date is, while you're doing that, I can take that.
July, right?
Yeah, hang on.
Oh, the-
Pathways. It's July, yeah, but I don't have, whatever the third Thursday is.
17th.
Thank you.
I looked at it a few minutes ago.
what's our next date?
July 17 for joint meeting
In Rockport,
in Rockport. So you're
6
off the
o'clock.
hook.
We have to request the minutes from Janice. Do you contact her? The AI minutes?
Oh, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They go to Janice, huh? Yeah. No, I try to copy Janice on our minutes and stuff too, because she keeps the record up. Yeah.
well, we'll have the, okay,
Not to extend the discussion.
Yeah.
But just a question, maybe it's a quick history explanation, or maybe it's take it up at another time. USBR1, the bike route runs through Camden, Rockport. It's very poorly labeled. I'm wondering, has it been discussed? Is it a priority for our communities or no?
You're talking about the East Coast Greenway? Yeah.
It's US Bike Route 1. And if you actually go to Rockport,
Isn't it called
Rockland,
what are you calling it? I know it as the East Coast Greenway.
USBR1, it's on a main DOT map.
Okay.
So it's US Bike Route 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and,
So they've renamed it.
That's what I found it as. And when you drive that, or when you go on the roads that have that in Rockland, there's sharrows that show it, except for on 17, but there's sharrows that show it.
It goes on 17?
It does, it goes on 17 from, I think it's Rockville Street down to
Route 1?
right by the golf course there where.
Oh, that
Diagonal road that
Old
cuts
County,
across.
Old County Road.
Yeah, well, not past. Old
no,
County
it's
Road.
that cuts over.
Oh, the
by
funny
new
diagonal.
Spot, that
There's
burger
some-
joint.
It actually goes right down Broadway and it has signs on it that say, bike share lane, and I'm just, it actually goes through Pascal, goes across the bridge, goes out by
So what's
Altamere
your question?
Farm.
What's your question?
We don't have it marked.
It is marked at different places.
It's only with those little signs.
The little
There's no
signs.
additional, and I didn't know if that was a main DOT thing or whether or not that's something that we would have to invest. It just seems like to raise awareness around
So
bicycle pedestrian.
how would you see it? I mean, what I heard you say is that it's not marked with sharrows or anything.
Right.
But it is marked in different ways depending on the context of where it is. So you wouldn't put sharrows on it in a rural route. You just have a little sign that says, this is your route.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So it's sort
that
of,
doesn't exist either, right? So.
well, I've
It's
seen
very,
them
it's not,
sometimes.
it's not fully
It's not-
marked.
Yeah, it's better than it has been.
No, and I'm just, my only question was,
I don't know who to talk to. Talk to the East Coast Greenway, I guess, but
I didn't know if it had been discussed.
The
in Pathways
town-
Committee. It was really
No,
my question.
But we can table that and look at coming back whether there should be some continuity.
Right. that was-
Let's talk, I agree, let's put it on the agenda. I mean, we can put it on for Rockport and pursue it, and I'm curious to know which parts of the state highways it does go on, because there, again, that reinforces pathway along.
I'll send
along
a
that.
link to the map.
Okay, we
Yeah,
are clearly, everybody's okay with adjourning. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you,
You're
Margot. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Margot.
I hope you feel better, Linda.